Hey guys, YouTuber Nerd here. Alright, now here I am with another obscure 2000s Disney movie review. And next up, this is going to be a review for Meet the Robinsons. So this is another one of those films that, like, at the time it came out, like, it did, like, kind of, like, get talked about a little bit. Like, I do remember, like, this film kind of, like, getting, like, mentioned, like, a little bit, like, for a small period of time after its release. But, yeah, it very quickly just, like, stopped getting talked about. And so, yeah, so it's another one that did just kind of, like, really just was, like, kind of talked about at first, but then quickly fell into obscurity and just nobody really talked about it anymore. Yeah. So I remember when this film like came out. Yeah, at the time, like just when I saw like the trailers and just when I saw like the posters for this movie, like yeah, this was a film that like I just thought that like looked like it was really geared towards like kind of like a younger demographic, like for like a younger generation, like kind of like for like 8 year olds or something. So I just thought that it was a for like a younger demographic at the time. And I was like about like 13 years old when this one came out. So I just like saw the trailers for it, and I just figured like it really didn't like seem like the kind of film meant for me. So I didn't see this film, and yeah, I didn't actually like never watched this film before. Just like I watched it to make this review. Yeah, and so yes, and like so I didn't watch the film. So I really like wasn't too sure exactly what it was about. Like the only like clip that I had actually like seen from this film is like the clip with the T Rex in the movie. That's pretty much the only clip from the movie that I had seen prior to watching it to make this review. So I wasn't really exactly sure really what to expect with the film. Just like I said, just I was really expecting something that really did like seem like it was for a younger demographic. So I was really expecting something to be like something like really like geared to like kids to and this film to really like just really be like a kids movie. So that's like what I was really expecting going into this movie. And yeah, and after seeing it, I gotta say that yeah, this film I guess was like better than what I was expecting it to be. Like I really wasn't expecting like really like anything with the film. I was just really thinking it was gonna be something like just like some really like a child humor and just like something that like kind of seemed like very immature for like older crowds and just like something that really isn't like geared towards them. And I guess you could kind of say that's sort of what this movie was. Like, yeah, a lot of the jokes in the film really did like seem like something that that were really meant for like little kids. But at the same time, the story that this film has, it is actually a pretty solid story. Yeah, what it's really about is just like it's about a kid that like during infancy he ended up like being just dumped on an orphanage by his mother. Yeah, but yeah, and after just like being failed to get adopted like so many times, he finally decides that he really wants to know the the history. He really wants to know like the memory on about his mother, and he just wants to really find his birth mother. But then he gets like yeah, he then like encounters like another boy from the future, and then after like something happens in the movie, then like he ends up going back to the future with the other kid, and then that's kind of like when like we really do like learn like what this time really is, and we do actually like kind of learn something about the boy in the movie. So it is kind of like an interesting story to see, yeah, because yeah, the supposed villain in the movie, it actually is like kind of like interesting, like who we like see as the who seems to be the antagonist in the movie, because at first like you really don't really know like why he really is doing like what he's doing, but then it is eventually like revealed like who he is and why he is actually doing what he is in the movie. So it is kind of like an interesting story with the supposed antagonist in the movie, even though like there's like the the actual antagonist like ends up being revealed well later on in the movie. Yeah, but yeah, it is a very interesting story, and yeah, and we do like learn like who when like the main boy in the movie, he comes across that other boy from the future. Like when he comes back to the world, we do like kind of like learn like a little something like that is like a little more to it than meets the eye. Like at first, like we just like see him like with the boy just like coming to his family as if like just as he's just like trying to get back. But then when we actually do like learn kind of like about the kid's family, then yeah, we do like the story does like have like a, a more interesting twist in it than it first led on. So yeah, so it really is like very interesting in that aspect. So yeah, so overall, like a lot of the jokes in the movie, they really are like kind of like meant for like a younger demographic, as I said. Just it kind of like is like sort of like has the same comedy that Chicken Little does, but at the same time, I mean, if there were at least like funnier jokes in this movie than Chicken Little. Like I do like how like as the villain is like trying to like brainwash like other creatures into trying to help them kidnap the main boy, like they do like see like how they really are not able to really fulfill what the villain is trying to get them to do. And so yeah, so it is like kind of funny jokes throughout like that in the movie and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, so yeah, so it is really does seem like kind of a mixed bag. Like there are some parts that are good. There are some parts that really are just like kind of they are do like get like kind of over the top, and some jokes are like kind of overkill. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, it does. This movie does send a good message, and yeah, the story overall is pretty solid. And plus, yeah, it does have like some interesting twists throughout the movie. So yeah, yeah. So this definitely wasn't really the movie that I was really expecting to get. Like, I was just really expecting to see like something that was like just kind of like meant for kids, and really not really anything that I was really going to get too much like investment into. But yeah, I was actually like pretty invested into the movie. Like, I did like the story, and yeah, it was like very interesting to see it like take like all these like interesting turns. And so yeah, it's not like really the film didn't give me anything. Like, it still does have like like a lot of very interesting points points in the movie, and yeah, and it is, and the characters overall they are like some do get kind of annoying. Like the family does get like kind of annoying because like how odd they are. But yeah, I guess like maybe that was like kind of the point to really make this film like kind of goofy like that. Yeah, and plus, like I said, it really does send a good message, especially like with the quote that you see at the end of the movie. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, it does at least like send a good message, and it really does do a good job of telling this story. So yeah, so I really can't really knock this film all that much. I mean, yeah, and it wasn't really for everybody, and plus, yeah, the film still like really wasn't really that big of a financial hit. But yeah, it did at least like give. I can't really say that it didn't give me anything. I'm yeah, if anything, I'm surprised I even got like anything out of it because yeah, like I said, I really wasn't expecting really anything to really come out of this film, and for what it did do, it did a pretty good job. So yeah, so I would give this film probably around like 3 stars out of 4. I'm not really sure if I would really recommend it. There's not really a whole lot about it that really doesn't make it a must see. But yeah, if you're interested, yeah, this will give you a good message. So yeah, all right. So yeah, I guess I'll just get into the story of the movie. Yeah. So as the movie opens up, like it shows that there's like a an infant boy that's just left on the doorstep of an orphanage by his birth mother. And then, yeah, and then it cuts to 12 years later where that boy, Lewis, it shows that he's like a very, like, like he is like very into inventing. So yeah, he does like create like a lot of inventions, but none of them really do like seem to actually work the way that he wants them to. And it shows that just like every time like he has an opportunity to get adopted, he tries to show like all his like potential parents his inventions, but his inventions just end up scaring them off. So yeah, so he hasn't been adopted, and it's been like over like 120 attempts to get him adopted. Yeah, yeah, and then and yeah, and it shows that Lewis also has like a roommate at the orphanage named Goob. Yeah, and it shows that he's like working on his inventions pretty much all night, and it's always keeping Goob up at night, and he can't sleep. And then eventually, then Lewis ended up making a machine that was able to like scan his memory so he can actually locate his birth mother. Yeah. Yep. And then when he actually took his scanner to the science fair at school, Lewis then eventually ended up meeting this 13-year-old boy, Wilbur Robinson, who was claiming that he was actually a time cop from the future. Yeah. And he was just telling Lewis how he's after like a time machine that a man wearing a bowler hat has stolen. Yeah. So then, yeah, Lewis then like tried to demonstrate his scanner, but the bowler hat guy I ended up sabotaging the scanner, and it ended up falling apart. Yeah, and like I said, this bowler hat guy, like at first you really don't know exactly like why he's really doing what he is, but yeah, the movie does like eventually reveal like actually who he is and why he is doing what he is doing throughout the movie to Lewis. So yeah, it is like an interesting twist, but I'll get to that later. Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, then after like the demonstration ended up going wrong, just the science fair ended up like falling into the chaos, and it showed that the bowler hat guy also had like a robotic bowler hat named Doris, and then and then yeah, they ended up like stealing the scanner after repairing it, and then and yeah, and then after er, like Lewis went back to the orphanage. Then Wilbur met him back there and asked him to repair the scanner. You know, but Lewis like refused to do it unless like Wilbur actually uh gave Lewis proof that he is from the future. And so then Wilbur actually then brought Lewis into his time machine and then transported him back to Wilbur's time, which was in the year 2037, and it showed like in that time there's like extremely advanced technology. So yeah, so you know the drill. Like pretty much like all the movies that were released like during this time that were like sent into the future, they all like showed that they really had like advanced technology, and it just like was really like advanced and updated compared to like how it was back then. But you see where we are now, and you see that like that's probably really not how it's going to be, and because yeah, we're just like 16 years away from that time now, and I really doubt that the technology really is going to be like that updated in 16 years. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, but yeah, then and Lewis then like realized that he can and like use that the time machine to actually meet his mother, and so then and yeah, then like as Lewis and Wilbur were just like arguing about like repairing the scanner. It just they ended up like crashing the time machine, and then Wilbur then was just like asking Lewis to fix the time machine. But yeah, Lewis agreed to do it, but only if Wilbur promised to take him to visit his mother afterwards. And so then, yeah, Wilbur then reluctantly agreed, and then Lewis hid in the garage at Wilbur's house. But then eventually, like when Lewis accidentally ended up leaving the garage, he ended up like meeting the rest of uh, uh Wilbur's family. So it just showed like the family just was like very odd. Yeah, I mean, I'll just leave it at that. They were really odd. I mean, you got to see this movie to really like just see what I'm talking about. Yeah, but yeah, it showed that the only member of Lewis's family that wasn't there was his father Cornelius that was the main creator of a lot of the time inventions, and it showed that he was away on a business trip. Yeah. Yeah. But then, yeah, then after Lewis met the family, then the bowler hat guy, then along with Doris, then after they like tried to track Lewis down in the orphanage, the bowler hat guy ended up like meeting Goob, and yeah, it was shown that like how Goob was like on a baseball team, but it showed that like at the game, it was like a championship game or something. He ended up missing a game-winning catch because he ended up falling asleep during the game because of like just of Lewis keeping him up at night working on his machines. Yeah. And then yeah, then but yeah, yeah, the bowler hat guy just told him to just like remember that and just like really just like think about like what it has done to him. Yeah, like I said, there is like an interesting twist on this, but yeah, I am going to talk about that later on. Yeah. Yeah, and then eventually, the bowler hat guy then um who was the one that did steal the other time machine that uh Wilbur's after. Yeah, the bowler hat guy and Doris then ended up traveling to the future her to try to kidnap Lewis. It was yeah, and it showed that like he like tried to use like a smaller uh Doris to like try to control other like animals to try to kidnap Lewis. It showed that he tried to uh mind control a frog to try to kidnap Lewis, but yeah, the frog was just like saying that like he was too small to try to get the seize Lewis, just saying that he not sure how well the plan was actually thought through. Yeah. Then eventually, like then Lewis then like well not Lewis, sorry, the bowler hat guy then like went back in time to bring a T Rex in Back to the Future to try to snatch up Lewis. But yeah, when Lewis ended up like getting well, like when he was up against a wall, like the T Rex just like tried to go after Lewis, but he just like couldn't do it. Like his head was too big. Like he just told the bowler hat guy, "I have a big head and little arms," just through roars, and once again said he's not sure how well the plan was thought through. Yeah, and then yeah, then eventually um Lewis and Wilbur were able to actually knock the hat off of the T Rex, and then yeah, then the bowler hat guy was no longer controlling the T Rex. Yeah, yeah, and then after like Lewis and Wilbur were got themselves to safety, then like Wilbur's family then was just then offering to adopt Lewis, but then Wilbur ended up revealing that Lewis was from the past, and then yeah, that's when just the family then just said they couldn't take Lewis. And then yeah, then Wilbur also ended up like of admitting that he was lying to Lewis about taking him back to see his mom. And so then, very angry about his lies, Lewis then just ended up running off in disgust. And then eventually, the bowler hat guy and Doris ended up approaching Lewis and then offered to take him back to his mother if he fixes his memory scanner. And so then, yeah, then Lewis ended up going with the bowler hat guy and Doris. But then after he repaired the scanner, then the bowler hat guy and Doris ended up taking Lewis hostage. And then the bowler hat guy revealed that Lewis is Cornelius Robinson, who was Wilbur's father, and also the bowler hat guy is a grown-up version of Goob, and it was showing that like he's blaming Lewis for losing that baseball game because of keeping him awake all those nights. Right, and so yeah, and then we were just telling like a story about like how after losing the game, Goob became just so bitter and was never adopted, and even like stayed in the orphanage long after it closed. And also explaining how Doris was apparently he he and mentioned that Lewis ended up failing on an abandon, but yeah, due to that, like both Lewis, well not Lewis, sorry, Goob and Doris blamed. Why do I keep saying Lewis? Yeah, Goob and Doris ended up blaming Lewis for their misfortunes, and then yeah, they came up with a plan to ruin his life by stealing the scanner and having Goob credited for it, and then his plan is to have Doris be mass produced, and so then yeah, then eventually like they went back to the past as with the scanner, and but it was revealed that Doris is trying to change the past, and and Doris is like heading like just is just like yeah. There's Doris hats being mass produced to just enslave humanity and render like a future post apocalyptic. Yeah, and then yeah, but eventually then Lewis was able to repair the second time machine, and then went back to the past to confront Doris and just saying to her that he's never going to invent her, which ended up causing Doris to disappear, and it restored the future back to normal. Yeah, and then yeah, then after Wilbur then just was asking the adult Goob, the bowler hat guy to join the family. He was just so ashamed of what he did that he just ended up running off. Yeah, yeah. And then eventually, then when Lewis and Wilbur were reunited with the Robinson family, it then showed Cornelius then arriving back home, and Lewis and Cornelius then met face to face. And then, yeah, then Cornelius was just showing Lewis the lab of all the inventions that he's made, and was just explaining to him the memory scanner started their career, and just convinced Lewis to return back to the science fair with the scanner. So then, yeah, then Wilbur ended up returning Lewis back to his time, but before he did, he then followed up on his promise and brought um, Lewis back to the time when his mother actually dropped him off at the orphanage, yeah. And then Lewis was about to like approach his mother. He was just like right behind her, but then he then just decided not to interact with her because he knew that the family that he'll have with Wilbur and the rest. Yeah. Yeah, but then yeah, then Wilbur then dropped Lewis back off in his own time, and then when Lewis headed back to the fair here, but yeah, before he did, he like stopped by Goob's game and was able to wake Goob up in time to make the catch. So that ended up just changing the future. Yeah, and then when he arrived back at the fair, Lewis like just wanted another chance to demonstrate the scanner, and he was successful this time with one of the judges. Is at the science fair, Lucille, and then both Lucille and her husband Bud were just like very they were very intrigued by Lewis, and then yeah, then they decided to adopt him, but then they also like just saw him as a Cornelius, so yeah, so then they nicknamed him Cornelius, and then yeah, eventually they adopted him and brought him back to their home, and then yeah, then it showed like the good life that Lewis now had with a family, yeah, and then yeah, then as the film just like a, faded to black, then a quote then ended up popping up on the screen, and then was just like reiterating the message of not dwelling on failures and keep moving forward, which was attributed to Walt Disney. So yeah, so this was a quote by Walt Disney himself to keep moving forward. So yeah, and then that's how the movie ended. Yeah. So like I said, uh, yeah, it does like kind of like the jokes in the movie can like kind of get like overkill at times, and yeah, and it does kind of like seem something kind of like meant for a younger demographic at times. Like the jokes in particular just seem like they are really meant for like younger kids. But yeah, like I said, the story overall it is pretty solid, and it does send a good message about just like keep moving forward and not just continuing to look back on the past with like some really bad memories and stuff. So yeah, so it does deliver a good message. So yeah, so I guess like just with the message that it's sending, I think that really is enough to give this film a pass. So yeah, so overall, I think that this film overall it is good. So yeah, definitely better than what I was really expecting to get out of it. So yeah, so like I said, 3 stars out of 4. So yeah, so I'm not really sure if I would really recommend this film because it's not really among one of the best Disney films of all time. But yeah, but if you are interested in just like seeing something kind of different with a good message in it, then yeah, then this was one of those films to check out. So yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right. So that's it for my review of Meet the Robinsons. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.